So her dad worked at a mine, and he told us about this career where people earn a lot of money. So that was the first interest point, that those guys earn a lot of money.
Yeah.
And that's how I came about to know the profession, metallurgical engineering. Then when I looked further into it, it did line up with my interest in chemistry. So yeah, that's why I went for it.
So you're definitely the smart brains. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Garden Growth. I'm hoping that you're having a wonderful day. This is a platform that has been created in order to encourage a personal, practical relationship with God and, of course, help us to grow holistically through sharing personal experiences and professional expertise. As you can see, I'm not alone, but before I introduce my guest, my name is Maduma, your host right here. Please do join this family if you haven't already by hitting that subscribe button and, of course, press the notification bell so that you can be notified every time I post a video. Hanging out with me today is the one and only Luyanda Sedibe. Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good, thanks. You?
I'm good. So she has this fancy name for her career that I've been struggling to pronounce, but I will try. You are a metallurgist.
Correct.
Okay, finally. Yay. How are you doing, my love?
I'm good, thanks. You?
I'm good. How has been the weather for you?
Pleasant, I guess. It's not too hot, not too cold, so I like it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Who is Luyanda Sedibe in 3 words?
3 words. Who? That's a hard one. God, introvert, calm.
Oh, I
Yeah.
feel the last one. Definitely. Like you just have this soothing, man, like just being with you, I feel like I'm in therapy, guys.
Wow.
Honestly, you just have this calm energy. I appreciate that a lot.
Thank you.
Tell me, which one would you choose between being smart but ugly, or very, very beautiful and dumb?
Smart and ugly.
Really?
Yeah.
Looks
not so important.
So
I think the depth of a person is more important.
yeah, that's true. Tell me more about Luyanda. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Nelspruit, which is central Mpumalanga.
Okay.
Just around the surrounding areas. So I moved around a lot as a child. Matsulu, Barberton, and Nelspruit, between those 3 places. We speak Siswati there. It's very hot, which is why I do love much calmer weather. So there it gets very hot, 40 degrees in December. So that's how hot it is. Yeah.
So how did you get to study metallurgy? Is there such a course called metallurgy?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's metallurgical engineering.
Okay.
So I heard about it from my from my cousin. So her dad worked at a mine, and he told us about this career where people earn a lot of money. So that was the first interest point, that those guys earn a lot of money. And that's how I came about to know the profession, metallurgical engineering. Then when I looked further into it, it did line up with my interest in chemistry. So yeah, that's why I went for it.
So you're definitely the smart brains. Where did you study?
Wits University.
How was it?
Hard. Hard. I think that word just tells it all. When they say that Wits pushes you over the edge, not over the edge, gives you the edge, but it sort of pushes you to the edge. So it wasn't an easy degree, but it was worth it. Yeah.
What is the most memorable experience you have of you close to a breakdown?
Sure. I think that there are a couple of them.
Yeah.
But I think the most significant for me was in third year. So metallurgy is like a 4-year degree. And I think in my first year, that was the most challenging part. Like the move from high school to university was hard.
Yeah.
It's a difficult course. You used to, being one of the smartest kids in school. Suddenly you're failing your first test. So it was very difficult. But then in third year, I had failed a subject in first year. So that meant I already added 1 more year into my degree. And then third year, now I've sorted things out. I'm good. I'm studying, and then I failed another subject, right? And it was plus another year. So now you have this identity crisis. I used to be the smart girl, and now I'm failing for the second time. Now I'm completing my degree in 6 years instead of 4.
Yeah.
So that was a big shock to my system. And then after that, I think same month later on, I lost my brother. So all of those things happening together were a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that was a very pivotal year in my life that just changed the trajectory of everything.
Yeah. I can
Yeah.
imagine how that is, having to lose a family member, and then that. What would you say a metallurgist does?
Okay, I think the it's in the word metallurgist. So, or metallurgical engineering. Metallurgy is just the study of metals.
Okay.
But we also extended to materials because I did BSc in metallurgy and material science. So what I mean by study of materials, so we look at everything that has to do with metals and materials from the very onset. So metallurgy can be separated into two. So there's extractive metallurgist and there's physical metallurgist. Extractive metallurgy looks at extracting the valuable from the rock, which we call an ore. So when you in a mining environment, geologists will locate where the minerals are. A miner will then extract those minerals in their rocks. Then an extractive metallurgist will take that valuable metal or mineral from the rock and separate it into a semi-finished product. So that is what an extractive metallurgist would do. Then you have physical metallurgy that looks into further processing of that metal or material into more usable goods. Let's say you are in the automotive industry and you want your car to have a certain the body of your car to look to have a certain luster. Luster is like how it looks outside, right? Luster, you want it to have a certain heat resistance because it's exposed to the sun. So that's what a physical metallurgist would do. Look into the properties, the mechanical, the chemical properties, physical properties of the material, and do that material selection. But before I speak for 20 minutes about the same thing, so that's more in line of what physical metallurgists do, material selection, investigations, if maybe you're failing components, a lot of analysis, and you need to also maybe draft specifications, manuals, etc.
I saw you doing candles. Where does that come in?
Okay, so candle making it's a new hobby. It's not really, yeah, it's a new hobby of mine. I started becoming interested in it last year. So I work a lot with my mind, right? So everything I do usually needs me to apply my mind a lot. So I needed to find something that would be physical, something I can do with my hands. And I love candles, right? So they're part of my self-care routine. If after a long day stress, I just want to light a candle, take a long bath. So that's how I started or introduced into making candles. And the process of making them themselves, it's quite therapeutic in itself. So that's how I started making candles, and I'm planning to launch soon.
I told you I'm your first buyer, right?
Yeah.
I'm there. What is life like in the day of a metallurgist?
Okay, so for me, I won't speak for everyone.
Yeah.
I'm a physical metallurgist by profession. So I'll only be exploring the physical metallurgy side. And my work requires me to do a range of things. I've mentioned a couple of them. So it would be investigations. I come from a maintenance industry. So this requires me to maybe draft specifications or manuals. I do some procurement projects. So I also do material selection if need be. So it has to do with managing a process, right? And by a process, in my field, I'm looking at welding specifically. So I look at the components that are to be welded. I select what kind of process needs to weld this component that is being maintained. How, if something that, if it fails, they weld and it fails, what made it fail, right?
Okay.
Even the procurement part, when it comes to buying, what should be bought to suit this thing, right? So just the whole process from start to finish, I need to know the ins and outs and make the correct decision.
Okay.
Yeah.
As a Christian, can you think of any scenario or comparison that you can make between God and your work?
I'm glad you asked that question, because for me, I see God as a process engineer, right? When we look at how God created humanity or us from the beginning, he has he first had to do certain things, like he had to create the environment for people to function in, and God created us knowing our purpose, right? So that is the use of the Bible. It's a guide to show us how we can most fulfill our purpose in life, and how it's a manual also that teaches us how to act and behave and what would be the consequences of that. So when I see God as a process engineer, I see him as a person that has created this thing called life. And he tells you through the Bible that if you do this, this is how I'm the one that designed you. I'm the one that created you. So if you do this, this is my way, you will get to this point, which you will be able to fulfill your purpose or do what I have set you to do. But now, if you now go out of God's way, then you start to experience these things, the impacts of life, like sin. God has told you how to eat. This is how I want you to eat, but you decide, no, make the everyday's life, right? And what are the implications of that? So it's similar to a process. So when an engineer creates a process, they know the capacity or the limitations of what is going to that process. And then if you deviate from that, that's where you start having problems. So that's why I see God as a process engineer.
I love that discipline, right? Like, this is how far you can go. Too much of something, you know. Talking about that, what is one thing that you feel like is your weakness, that you think, if I were to master stopping this or manage to overcome this, I know that I will grow in this specific area of my life?
I think it would have to be procrastination. So I think that is one major component that has not allowed me to do certain things. I think it also stems from perfectionism to a certain point, because if it's not perfect, I don't want to do it. So that's that procrastination. I want to wait until a certain time before I do something. So I think just getting over that perfectionism would allow me to act more promptly. You miss opportunities because you're not acting promptly, and you want to wait before you meet certain conditions before you do something. So I think procrastination is my number one enemy.
I think it's one for all of us. We are struggling with that. As a young adult who is now a metallurgical engineer, you know the pros and cons. What are the biggest myths that people have around this career?
I wouldn't say it's about the career per se, because most people I know don't know what metallurgy is. But I think it's more to do with engineering in its entirety. So most people, when they find out that you're an engineer, like, oh, so you're an engineer, can you fix this? I'm like, no, that's not what engineers do. So engineering basically applies science. So we design. It can be products, it can be processes, like in the terms of metallurgy. We also do the more science part, like understanding depth of things and applying that science. And then you have technicians. Technicians now do work with their hands, and they can, although they do have some sort of science background in understanding, they don't go to the depth of engineers, right? So they're able to fix things with their hands. So there's a big difference between engineer and a technician. Technicians, if you're more hands-on, then you could take the technician route. But if you want to apply your mind and do designs and things like that, then engineering would be more for you, because you're going to be working a lot with the computer. And if you go to site or something like that, you're not doing anything physical. You are measuring, you are looking, you are assessing. So that's more to do with engineering versus technicians.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who in your family do you think has the greatest influence over you?
My grandmother. That's the easiest thing. Yeah. So my grandmother has been very pivotal in the woman that I grew up to be. She raised me from like when I was 3 months, and she's a strong Christian woman. So that's she has impacted me so much from an early on age. I just can't see my life without her. Yeah.
I'm curious, right? As a young female in this industry, what do you think you have faced the most as a difficulty, of course, associated with your gender?
I think it's trying to strike a balance between maintaining your femininity in a male-dominated environment, but also not acting like a man, right? Being a leader or being in a management position, right? So when you have to deal with maybe older men who don't take you as seriously, or because of your gender, perhaps, or because that's just how they are, you know, you need to not sink to their level to a certain extent and maintain that femininity while you're still in that leadership role. Yeah.
What would you say to someone who is pursuing this career? What should they bear in mind?
That's a hard one. Get ready to work. Get ready to work. You must love your profession. Doing a degree, or even if you're doing a diploma, it will take a lot of you. So I think it starts from choosing the right career for you. Don't just choose it because you heard there's a lot of money, which might not be actually true. So I'm just saying that pay in mind to your interest as a person, because you're going to be doing this for a very long time in certain instances. Although even if you have chosen metallurgy per se or any other engineering, there's also ways that you can pivot into other careers. I have colleagues that we started with metallurgy, but now they're working in the bank, you know. So it's also not a limitation. Have an open mind, but most importantly, study what you're interested in. Forget the peer pressure, forget the money part, and okay, not so much, because you need to think about that also. But you're going to be doing this for a long time. You're going to invest a lot of sleepless hours. So make sure it's the right decision for you as a person.
What would you say to the 16-year-old Luyanda Sedibe?
Have fun.
Aww.
Yeah. I think for the most part of my life, I was very serious. I was very serious, very focused. You know, studying is all I did. And I think if I were to do things a bit differently, I'd relax a little more and just enjoy things, have fun, even in varsity. Don't stop running around so much. Go to that social, or if there are other opportunities where people are speaking, go attend that. You don't always need to be in the library studying and sleeping, and you know, just a bit of balance. Yeah, life is short. Have fun.
Which color do you resonate the most with?
Blue. Blue. I love blue. I think when I just see blue, I just feel calm. Like you can just imagine when you're looking at an ocean, you see shades of blues and green. So it has a calming effect on me. And I just think it's a very regal color. Yeah.
Last question as we wrap it up. I really, really love this conversation. What is your favorite verse? It might not even be a favorite verse, but a verse that just cannot get off your head, and why?
And why? Okay. I think my favorite verse, I hope I don't lie, but it's in Numbers 23, verse 19. God is not a man that he should lie, right?
Mm,
And I love this one because it speaks of the creative power of God. So when God makes a promise in the Bible and says it, he brings it into existence,
yeah.
right? So he's not a man. Whatever he says, it comes to fruition because he had said it. So it always gives me that hope and faith that whatever God has promised, I can claim that. Like it is possible. So it's just for me to trust his word because his word is creative. And when we look around nature, we see that.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. We're gonna make a toast. First of all, I'm so excited about the candles. So I'm really hoping that I get to see them very, very soon. But what would you like to toast to for you in 2023?
New beginnings and purpose.
Oh,
Yes.
yay. Nice one. Mm. This has been absolutely lovely, Luyanda. Thank you so much for coming through and sharing. I'm hoping that most of you who have smart brains, unlike me, you can pursue metallurgy because, yeah, it's not for me, guys. I am not that smart. These are the smart people. But we'll be here waiting to interview you. Yeah, thank you so much. I really, really enjoyed this. And I'm hoping that you learned as much as I did. Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Guys, that is it. Take care. God bless. Bye bye.